Hey, what's up soldiers? My name is GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire, and welcome to my review of Call of Duty World War II zombie map for DLC 3, The Tortured Path. There are 3 different maps included in this DLC, which totally changed up what we're used to when it comes to the traditional Call of Duty Zombies experience. I'm going to run through each map and break them down, as well as include my opinions on each. Let's get started. First is Chapter 1, Into the Storm. As far as the difficulty, the first map is by far the easiest, mostly because of the open areas to move around. Gameplay wise, as far as the aesthetic of the map, it is pleasant to the eye. The map has a much brighter color palette than we're used to on the previous maps, mostly because it takes place during the day. There is noticeable greenery around the map, including vines around the windmill, which looked great overall. Although the map takes place in a downpour, it is very easy to see throughout the entire map. Now let's talk about the Easter egg. Overall, in my opinion, the Easter egg for this map was the second best out of the Tortured Path. First, you collect body parts of a zombie. There are 10 leg locations, 10 arm locations, 5 head locations, and 5 torso locations around the map. While doing this, you must also shoot off a rope, which is located on a branch, and when shot, it falls into the river located behind the windmill. The next round, a branch that has also fallen into the river will catch the rope and you're able to grab it off of that branch. Eventually, you must obtain a whistling arm to be used to stop the windmill from turning. You place the arm in the windmill gears when the largest part of the windmill is on the bottom and vertically straight up. Then you tie and strap the zombie parts to the windmill, including the rods that had also dropped the previous round and the rope that had been snagged by the branch in the river. The next thing you need to do is turn the windmill 180 degrees so that the zombie is upside down and perfectly vertical. Once the round ends, lightning will strike the zombie and cause a whistling and splat noise as the zombie falls to the ground. Next round, you must fill souls around the zombie like a soul chest. The next round, you must escort that zombie all the way to the house with the caved-in roof. It will then crawl into a zombie spawn when it reaches its destination. The next round, you will once again escort the zombie to the winery while feeding souls to the zombie as well, and eventually it will drop a fuse which you can place in the winery down below, and there is a small closet, and located in it is the hilt. Throughout the entire Easter egg, you need to watch out for the bomb zombies. They will spawn on top of the zombie you're escorting, and basically it is 100% RNG the entire time. If a bomb explodes near it, it will kill the zombie, and you will need to completely restart the game because there are only 10 rounds. The final boss of the map appears on round 10, called the Radican Brenner, which has a force field around it. You see red circles on the ground during the boss fight, and you need to bring the Radican Brenner inside of the red circle to disable its force field. The Radican Brenner has a flamethrower like the original Brenner from the previous installments of World War II Zombies. The biggest issue, however, with the Easter egg is that the fuse that the zombie drops at the end falls through the floor sometimes and will cause you to restart as well. Overall, I would give this map a solid 8 out of 10. Second is Chapter 2, Across the Depths. In my personal opinion, this map is the most difficult overall. It takes place on a military boat or vessel. Overall, this map has a very limited amount of open areas on the map. The bomb zombies and the whistlings are the biggest problem as well, and you can definitely get trapped really easily. The map takes place during the night and it is snowing lightly. The map has snow on the deck, and there are also vehicles that move from left to right in the direction that the boat tips occasionally, which can down you. The map is fairly easy to see with no problems, and it is well lit inside the vessel. On the floors inside the actual quarters of the boat, they are covered in blood, which adds a creepy atmosphere to the map. I personally feel like the Easter egg on this map is by far the best and one of the coolest things that we have seen in all of World War II Zombies. The first thing you need to do for the Easter egg is go down to the bottom floor of the boat, and to the right of the Pack-a-Punch machine there is an Uberschnall. You need to melee it and you will enter a mode called the Vision, which changes your field of view from normal 65 in Call of Duty to about 110 to 120 so that you can see more of your weapon. You then need to round, and there will be 9 red herring fish that are flopping inside the boat that you need to shoot all of them. I personally think this is a cool step, and a great thing is they will always be in the exact same spot. The best way to find them besides actually seeing them is hearing the flopping noise, which is very loud. There will then be a red herring fish that appears on the bottom deck the next round, and you will need to escort it to each location. You will then need to find an Überschnall walleye location on the top deck. There are 6 locations. You will need to purchase these for about 3,000 jolts. In my opinion, it is a little bit too expensive. I think around 1,000 jolts would have been a fair price. You go to the place, you lead the red herring, and you place the Überschnall you purchased in the holder that spawned. After it's filled, you follow the red herring to the next spot and once again purchase another Überschnall from a walleye and a different walleye location that is randomly spawned. You will then repeat this process one more time. Once the third Überschnall is filled completely, you will then be teleported underwater to the coolest location in World War II Zombies. Underwater, you will see apparitions of Dr. Schraub from the Final Reich, the Darkest Shore, as well as the death scene on the Shadowed Throne. You jump from floating island to island and see these. Eventually, a zombie will spawn until you can jump to the next one. Last but not least, on the final platform, there are buckets, and a fish will go in one of them, and the buckets will all shuffle. You then need to shoot or melee the bucket that the fish was in by following it with your eyes. This happens 3 times, and the last time it is extremely difficult because it has 8 buckets moving very, very fast. Once you complete that, you'll be teleported back to the bottom level of the deck. In front of you, there is a table with a wooden box with the pommel placed inside. You can then pick it up. On round 10, you will need to kill the Stadtjäger boss. This is the same boss from the Shadowed Throne with not nearly the same amount of health. It is very easy to kill. Overall, although I'm not a fan of the map layout and how close quarters it is, I really enjoy the Easter egg, and for that, I rate this map a 9 out of 10. The last chapter is Chapter 3, Beneath the Ice. Right when spawning into the map, it reminded me of the crazy place from Origins. There are a lot of walls made of stone with a lot of snow on the ground. The map takes place in Antarctica during the day because the sun is shining through a few holes in the ceiling. The map layout is basically a large circle that is very easy to move around in, and the map is fairly open. In order to do the Easter egg, you must break the Überschnall in the main chamber by meleeing it 3 times and enter the special vision mode by holding square. You can now interact with the door at the back of the map by holding square on the symbols. Runic symbols can be found around the map to be entered into the door. This causes an earthquake and lets you place the hilt on the table in the forge, which is in the middle. It will be glowing, and then you also end up getting flares, which are going to be leading into the ritual room on the stairs that replace your special grenades. Throw the flares into the fire pit on the walls underneath the head statues in the ritual room to light them. After lighting these, you need to bounce a flare into the bowl with embers that is located to the left of Laufenblitz. Once this is done, a wall will open up by Laufenblitz, revealing the second rune. Put this rune in the door and locate your second code and enter it into the door. At the end of the round, the pummel will drop into the map and put this into the center room. After this, the sacrificial pads will light up when stood on. Now there's 4 of them around the map, and you get kills on them while standing on the pads for about a minute or so, and you can't get off the pads until you hear the audio cue, and then eventually one of the runes will fall on the floor in the sacrifice room, and blood will be coming out of the 4 heads located in the ceiling. Find your 3rd rune code and enter it into the door to be given the blade. You can now assemble the sword. As far as the sword goes, it is absolutely terrible. It makes no sense to me how a full sword can be worse than all the individual parts like the blade. It is basically useless. To me, this was a huge part of the World War II zombie storyline, so when the blade that we've been collecting parts for 3 previous maps is absolutely terrible, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Sledgehammer should have made the sword the best weapon on the entire map with no questions asked. Overall, I would rate this map a 7 out of 10. That means that I would rate the Tortured Path overall an 8 out of 10. Overall, I thought that the 3 different maps was great, but now it's time to talk about some more pros and cons. As far as pros, the maps can be unlocked as survival maps afterwards. They are called Bodega Cervantes, USS Mount Olympus, and Altar of Blood. The biggest problem I have with this is that you need to complete the Easter egg in the public match playlist while completing all 3 maps in a row. This was definitely a mistake because no one likes to play in public match, or at least a large majority of players. Most like to play with their friends. They have now fixed this issue, and now the survival maps can be unlocked when the Easter eggs are completed. The cutscene is still only obtainable by completing all the Easter eggs in a row in a public lobby. I hope that Sledgehammer never does this again because public match lobbies don't make sense. Another issue is that the Easter egg cutscene is not available to be unlocked for solo players or players playing in groups of 2 or 3 because it is only available in a public match. One more thing that Sledgehammer did a good job with was adding a hardcore difficulty to these maps. The zombies are 3 times as strong and can only be unlocked at level 50 Bureau ranking. That is another thing that was added into this DLC. The Bureau ranking, which I thought was a really cool idea, allows players to play as the cool characters unlocked from the previous maps. Although I unlocked all the characters on the base map of the game, I thought it was cool that they finally had a purpose rather than just some random character. The ending cutscene was kind of lame, and I have absolutely no idea where this game is going at the end, so we will have to wait and see. But I hope that we will not get a huge cliffhanger like on Advanced Warfare. Thanks for watching. My name is GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire. Please like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.